Oh, all right. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Friday Mastermind. This is the first time I have interviewed today's guest, and I am super pumped. He was referred by the one and only Phil Jones. So, David, it's good to have you here.
Great to be here. Yeah, good to be with my buddy Phil. Yeah, I know we're mutual friend there. He's an awesome friend. We just met up at the airport in Minneapolis recently as he was flying through, and yeah, good to see you. I think we have some other connections way back too. I can't remember what all of them are. Randy Garn or somebody else. I don't know.
Yeah, no, your name has come up many a times, and I'm a big fan of trust. So looking forward to that. Both Todd and Deborah, we do this mastermind every Friday, 9 o'clock. Bring in amazing guests. Both Todd and Deborah are actually exactly what to say certified instructors. So Todd, how do you want to frame the call before we really kick it off and get going?
Well, I feel like the missing link for most folks in the mortgage business right now is the relationships that you have with your clients and the relationships you have with your partners. And so anytime I think we can talk about trust, right? Trust is such an important piece of it. It's what Deborah and I talk about as certified guides when we're teaching really how to build trust and communication. And so I'm super excited to dig in and hear your perspectives on it, David. Right, Deborah?
Yes, I'm curious on ways, because loan officers don't always have the most trust from consumers. Some of that is, oh 08 times when they saw their parents losing their homes. And so I'm really curious how to establish trust, rebuild trust, and then also some things to be aware of what could be eroding trust just from automation and technology. So lots of questions for you, David. Hope you're ready.
I'm ready. I think we need to add the Trust Edge certification though, that they go together really well. So when you're ready to get Trust Edge certified,
Ooh.
it's a lots of there's a uniqueness compared to his. He's got a really great, exactly what to say is awesome. And we have then we have assessments and some of the things that you can do to increase trust. So they mesh together really well.
Well, I'm looking forward to learning more about that. So let me set the table and then kind of bring you in. And since it's your first time on this show and in this community, have you introduce yourself. But like the way I want to frame the call is, first of all, trust or distrust is the default in America now. I can't remember the actual international survey that, I think it was last year for the first time, distrust was the default. I just think intuitively we kind of know that people are skeptical. And then in housing, a couple of the biggest challenges our community, they're mortgage professionals and real estate professionals, are that, hey, should I wait to buy my first home I'm renting? Should I wait until rates come down? There's a lot of affordability challenges. People that are in homes, many of them, over 60% of them, have a 2, 3, 4% mortgage. And they're like, hey, should I wait to move up until rates come down? So there's not only trust as the default, there's a lot of confusion and lack of clarity. And then I think mortgage professionals on social media are just like, it's always the best time to buy. So I even think as an industry, we fuel even more distrust because we're always, we don't come across, we're either rent shaming or we're coming across selling. So with kind of like macroeconomic issues, kind of things we create for ourselves. I want to cover that throughout this conversation, David, but why don't you just kind of introduce yourself, make sure everybody kind of understands where you come from, and then we'll unpack trust.
So fundamentally, you had lots of things you said there that I already have responses to because it's not always the default. I mean, people totally trust in America. We have the best stop and go light system in the world. We don't even think about it. That light turns green, we go. We totally trust in so many ways that give us enormous efficiencies in America. And there's a load of skepticism in many ways. The study we put out, one of the biggest studies out of global studies, the Trust Outlook. It's been quoted in Harvard Business Review and other places. But I think you were also talking about the Edelman Trust Barometer, which is a fantastic
Correct.
global study, which is there are ways skepticism is front and center. So first of all, fundamentally, what happened to Todd? Like, I like his eyes. Come on, Todd. Let's see your shining eyes. We're just having fun here. Oh, there we go. We're eating good. Hey, let's be authentic. Trusted is authentic. We want to know
Just
where
trying
you
to
go.
eat my breakfast quietly, David, with no one noticing.
All right. So fundamentally, this is my belief, and this goes back to my grad work a couple decades ago. And this relates, and this means something to mortgage folks. Number one, I believe without ego, but with work across 6 continents, working with presidents of countries, presidents of companies, pro sports teams. You know, I'm an advisor to the biggest mortgage company in the world of its kind. So I know your space too, as well as, you know, others we're dealing with across industries. But I believe a lack of trust is the biggest expense you have and the biggest expense I have. Everything of value is built on trust. So I believe if you go into the research, I believe, you know, it started 25 years ago when really no one was looking at trust in organizational like cost the way very few people were, at least. Now everybody's talking about trust with and mostly without research. But back then, basically, I would say you never have in a company a leadership issue at the core. The reason you follow a leader or not is trust. You don't have a sales issue at the core. The only way to increase sales is increase trust in the message, or to speed up a sale. The only way to do it, is in the channel. You know, increase trust in the product or the salesperson or something. You don't have an innovation issue. If a team doesn't trust each other, they won't share ideas, so innovation goes down. Learning in a classroom only goes up when we increase trust in the professor, the content, or the safety or trust of the room. Marketing messages are only amplified when I trust the message more. Diversity, equity, inclusion. Biggest Harvard study shows diversity of almost any kind puts or pits people against each other unless you increase trust, and then you can get enormous benefits. So at the core, I believe, you know, and I can go in this a lot of different angles, but without a lot of research, a lack of trust is the biggest expense. The question everybody's asking you as a mortgage broker, any human, the question everybody's asking me is not, do I like you? I've got friends I like a whole lot. I wouldn't go into business with in a million years. The question everybody's asking is, can I trust you? You're asking before you put your student on a school bus, can I trust you to get them there safely? Doctor, can I trust you with this prognosis? Financial planner, can I trust you with this advice? The question, the client behind every question is, can I trust you? And so fundamentally, the first half of the research showed that trust was always the leading indicator. When we increased trust in the first organization we worked with, they saved $2 to $4 million in attrition in 9 months. 5th biggest company in the world dropped increased engagement scores for the first time in 14 years in a poisonous business unit. Fortune 50 company said they gained 11% market share in a year, which is unheard of in that biggest size in a $1 billion business unit when they use the trust framework that we talk about. The Admiral of the Navy last year said they dropped suicide rates when we trained 15,000 sailors in this work across 3 carriers. And we, they had a framework for increasing trust. So we're trying to solve the biggest problems and biggest challenges with trust. We believe it matters more than ever. But I think just fundamentally to start with, and I know I need a pause here, is just the case for trust. If people can shift their thinking and stop saying, I got a leadership issue, I've got a communication. You never have a communication issue, by the way. Ever, ever, ever a communication issue at the core. It's the type. And if they can drop down into the framework and say, oh, clarity is one of the 8 pillars of trust. Clear communication is trusted, unclear isn't. Compassionate communication is trusted, hateful isn't. Competent communication is trusted, incompetent isn't. They can drop down one more level into the framework. They solve what they meant to solve and what they wanted to solve. But for mortgage folks and all of us, a lack of trust is our biggest cost. It might be with our teenager, our spouse, our friend, or in our business.
Amen. I have no doubt of that. Deborah, anything come to mind as you hear all that?
I think what can be a challenge is, how do you measure trust? Like,
Sure.
I do social media and branding, and a lot of times I explain how branding is, there's not really like a unit of measurement or love. So is there any kind of guidance of, if there's no true like unit of measurement for trust, how do you know if you have great trust within your organization or your team or your clients? Are there
Great question. Yep. So the framework is, we have 6 measurement tools. We have all the way up from an enterprise trust index built on my grad work and 40 years of Accenture data, down to a self-assessment, team assessment, all this. But how do we measure in that? Like, it's not just made up. What's this validated framework? So this validated framework, it starts with the 8 pillars of trust. Now, we have to understand in the books that you might have seen, you know, they're defined by C words. So it's like, oh, is this just some cheesy pastoral list of cutesiness? And of course, it's not. They each represent a very important research funnel. And it turns out those 8 C words are very representative of the meaning of what builds trust globally. So that's been revalidated by outside, you know, universities, and it's these 8. So we're measuring against these 8. So basically, we take behaviors under these 8, and we measure those in leaders, in organizations, in companies, and in perception. And that's where we can get your trust score and enterprise trust index for a massive university or whatever. So we're defining against these 8. So I mean, I don't know. I know I've taken over a little bit, and I don't mean to. I'm really passionate about this work, partly because it changed me. But if you want to know the 8, I can give you those. If that's
what I was going to say. Will you list out the 8?
Yeah, sure.
Wait, time out.
Oh.
Time out before we get the 8, because I definitely want to get those. I want to, I mean, you are so passionate. I mean, you're wearing the shirt, you've written the books. Like, what inspired you to like be this guy that is spent your career around trust? I just want to know that, you know, we're in the first inning here, and we got 45 minutes.
We can go. Some people know I speak for 8 days on this, so we got how much content you want. But I do want to get to tools, because that's what helps people for sure, and the framework, because I want to help people, and of course we want them to get certified and invite us to work together more, and I hope we get to work with you guys more. But the story is, you know, after college, I was asked to be a part of this youth organization where I built some leadership curriculum at a pretty young age. Lisa and I went on our own in 1999, and we had been asked I'd been asked to speak at things. And by the way, as much as I'm in the Speaker Hall of Fame with Zig Ziglar and I'm passionate about this, I pushed back on the speaking as the important way to make an impact. Like, all these other people want to be on stage, be the big speaker. I thought, only if we can do ongoing work, we know transformation happens with more, not just speaking on the stage. But turns out I'm gifted at it to some degree or whatever. And so, you know, there was a thing. So I was doing some of this leadership training and speaking. Think of, you know, I'm in my 20s. So it's for students, schools, education, young people, whatever. So I got asked, though, early on, by the way, this is just for those of us that have been entrepreneurs. We went on our own with $1.40. By that October, we threw everything we had into this. I had 60 cents in my home account, 80 cents in my business account. That's all we had after paying our urgent bills. The place we found to live was the basement of 86-year-old Clara Miller's, and it was totally illegal. We didn't know it was illegal, but it was a windowless basement. Can't do that in Minnesota, I guess. No bathroom and no kitchen. Black mold on the walls. My wife, thankfully, she'd been a missionary kid from Africa. She's like, I'm game for whatever, you know? So we started there, and we lived there for 2 years. We'd go 3 flights up to share her bathroom, 86-year-old Clara Miller's. We went 2 flights up, and she had a little space on a refrigerator where we could put some food. But that's how we started this. But I was just doing some of this leadership stuff, and then I think it was 2000 that the 2 little tipping points here. 2000 that the commanding officer of the U.S. Coast Guard Academy saw me speak at a youth event because he was there with his son and said, we need that at the academy. But the bigger epiphany happened later that year when I got asked to do another kind of a business type thing. And I was the reason I remember it so well, I think it was Scottsdale, Arizona, because up until that point, it was the most beautiful place I'd ever stayed. I'm like, they spent $500 a night on us, Lisa. What are we doing? Like, it was crazy, you know, to stay at this place. But I remember being out on the deck, and this is the epiphany. I'm standing there thinking about the day of working with this group, and I thought, it's not a leadership. They don't trust the guy. And then I started thinking about their sales, and it's like, it's not a sale. I don't think they trust the product or the sales team. Like, so it was just an epiphany. And then I started thinking, oh, that's a trusted you. That's a trusted you. That led to my grad work, organizational leadership. That grad work became interesting to people much more important than me. That's what led to then the first Wall Street Journal bestseller without me knowing what to do. You got people today that know how to, you know, buy their way to the top or book sell or whatever. That was a miracle, by the way. The first book was a miracle. The next thing was a miracle. Like, I didn't know. I wasn't connected. I didn't have all these, you know. So basically the epiphany there was was that, you know, from the basement, whatever, but teaching this leadership stuff was what the grad work was really just first an epiphany about trust. And then I did all my grad work on it. That was like, it just affirmed everything I was thinking. And then now now we've done studies and we put out, you know, you might have seen it, but the Trust Outlook every year, we put out one of the biggest studies on trust and leadership every year. We started using it in companies and it worked. That was the shocker, right? It's like, oh, you drove this big company, you drove our attrition down with that trust. You did this with that trust. And we were really good at getting results, solving with trust.
Love it. Well, I just had a note because I mean, you clearly are like the authority on this. Your passion and your energy is off the handle. So let's get tactical.
Let me grab that. Forbes, oh, this is the Harvard Business one I wrote in, but Forbes put I think it was just last month, the authority on trust and leadership. That was a very kind comment. So
well, it's an honor to have you. And by the way, everyone listen to this. You're in mortgage. Like, don't multitask. Like, this is one of the top leaders on trust. Phil Jones advocated, like, you need to know this guy. You guys need to know each other. He needs to be in your community. This is going to be a great call and a great session for realtors. So right now, realtors are not highly trusted either. So be thinking about this at your next meeting with a realtor. You could mastermind around this. There's huge value here, guys. So
being the realtor of choice is fundamentally a trust issue. Being the mortgage broker of choice is fundamentally a trust issue. The only reason they give their money with you, they work with you, is trust.
Period. So let's go. What are the 8 pillars? Let's break it down.
So yeah, so you got this 8-pillar framework, and then we've got all these tools under those. So the newest book that you've seen or we sent you was it's 40 proven tools to lead better, grow faster, build trust now. So we keep using more tools to solve with trust, but it always comes back to these 8. People say, well, when are you going to have something else? It's the research shows it's these 8. So what do you do? Whether you want 3 points in a poem, but 8 came out of the research. What are you going to do? Right. So I've got, I'll give them in an order that actually there is meaning to the order, but this is what we measure against. And remember, you're going to hear them and think, oh, that's easy. That's simple. And yet there's so much more to them. But these 8 ways are how trust is built globally. Frankly, it doesn't matter if we're dealing with the president of a country in East Africa on corruption issues, or we're dealing with policing issues. That doesn't mean we don't contextualize, but it always comes down to these 8. So number 1 is clarity. People trust the clear and they mistrust or distrust the ambiguous or the overly complex. And by the way, I'm talking about another level of clarity. Most marketing people and branding people do not understand clarity at the level I'm talking about today. It is, listen, any of you in marketing or realtors, cuteness and cleverness does not win today. Clarity wins. Barb wanted to have a fun little haircutting salon on Main Street, so she called it Whispers on Main. Nobody knew what the heck she was doing. She changed it to Best Cuts by Barb. People went there to get haircuts. I'm being driven to an event, 100,000 people or something at this event in California. The convention center is 5 miles away. The CEO picks me up. CEO drives me along this highway to the convention center. This was just this last year. And I was just looking out the window. And there's all these stores and malls on the right-hand side. And the only reason I bring it up is one of those stores was packed full. The parking lot was packed full. I'm like, man, out-of-towners had to know why to go to that store. I mean, they had to get off the highway, get back on the highway in California. Then I looked at that store, and above the store was one big lit-up sign that was one word that said everything for that organization. Liquor. And people knew why to get off, get on. It was so clear. Clarity wins. Clarity, clarity, clarity. So we have, think about this. For a leader, if you're clear about the vision, you might be followed. A manager that's clear about expectations. One of the biggest frustrations in our measurement tools is managers are not clear about expectations, so people can't win. A student gets frustrated with a teacher, not because they're unkind, but they're unclear about the assignments, so they can't win. You've got a salesperson, a realtor. I cannot believe this. They use the above the fold with how long they've been in business. Nobody cares. Once they got clear about the benefits of doing the mortgage with me or working with me to sell the house, then I bought or we work with them. But they had to get clear about the right thing. So clarity. Number 1 is clarity. Lots to
Time
clarity.
out. Time out. I want to, guys, one of the biggest races in mortgage right now is speed to clarity. We talk about it all the time. Speed to need. Who can get to the consumer at that point of need, even before they think they have the need, even before they start clicking for the need. Speed to need and speed to clarity. So I do want you, everyone to listen to that. And we could just stop right there and just like, what are all the tactical ways that you could improve your speed to clarity? Anyways, love that. It's
Let me give
something we
one
talk
tip right
about a
now.
lot.
Since we paused on it and Todd looks like he's listening, let's go.
All right, guys. David is tearing it up with insights, with energy, and I want to make sure I really connect this to the mortgage coach total cost analysis. So as we talked about earlier, like transparency, like if you're going to earn trust, you need to give people clarity, like speed to clarity. And look what Mortgage Coach does. Like it's showing options. First of all, most loan officers are just showing the fee worksheet. That there's no way if someone's like, hey, should I move up now? Should I go from owning to renting? No matter what, should I refinance? You can't give clarity without options. And by the way, that's uncommon levels of transparency. And then he's showing the future refi. Like, you can show like, hey, here's with no points, higher rate. Here's with 2 points, lower rate. You're giving people options. And then you're showing, hey, this is what a future refi looks like. And then you're showing uncommon levels of transparency. Look at the savings over 60 months. What would that be over 5 years? Here's another example of a top producing mortgage coach where the consumer could have put 20% down. Sometimes the consumer could put 50% down, but when you're the loan officer that goes beyond the transaction, gives options, shows down payment options, by the way, shows how those down payment options perform over time. Now, like more authority, like, wow, this person really knows their business. So literally, we're going to unfold all 8 of these pillars of trust. But when you really look at the pillars of trust, Mortgage Coach, if you are a loan officer that uses Mortgage Coach, you will be able to execute on all of these 8 pillars at a higher level. And then the final pillar for all you managers out there, consistency. It's a process. It's a framework. If you have a tech stack that we integrate with, it integrates with your loan manufacturing platform. So if you're an individual LO, go to our website, get signed up, become a Mortgage Coach member. If you are an enterprise partner and you already have us built into your tech stack, like 160 lenders in America that have it already, let your team know, hey, turn it on. I want to have this. And if you are an enterprise, you're a decision maker, and you want to get a demo, you can sign up on our website. You can email me at dave@trustengine.com. Anyways, let's get back to this amazing interview. Let's check out David more.
So here's one more idea. One, I'll give you lots of ideas. We can come back to tools under clarity, but I'm going to give a simple one right now to run. If you're a leader, you're a mortgage broker, you're a real estate person. If you want your messages to matter today, here's one simple tool to run your messages by. I might give 2 right now, but I'm going to start with 1. One is, it's got to be MRA. It's got your message, your values for your company. They have to be MRA. They have to be memorable. They have to be repeatable, R, and they have to be A, actionable. Memorable, repeatable, and actionable. I've got case studies of companies that grew their business because look at their message compared to the competitor, and theirs was memorable, repeatable, and actionable. Many even don't get the actionable part. Like they have values like integrity. What's that? If you don't have that, you go to jail. What does that look like? Like, being this in our business, we say be the same on stage and off stage. That's the same. I can see that. I've seen speakers that were different in the green room than they aren't. That's actionable. Like I can look like that. Teresa, 20 feet from me, has a stage when she's on the phone. Dan, 24 feet from me, when he's talking to our certified partners, he has a stage. It's like we can see that. So memorable, repeatable, actionable. What is your message? Memorable, repeatable. As long as I'm on acronyms, I'm going to throw one more out right now under clarity, if it's okay with you.
Bring it.
It's free of charge, so you're going to let me do whatever I know. Okay, so here, if you're a leader, if you're leading your team, one of the biggest frustrations we see is people are not clear about expectations. So remember, one was clarity of message. This one, there's lots of clarity of strategy, clarity. This is clarity of expectations. This is the model here. One more time, it's also an acronym. They're not all that way, just so you know. So let me go back. My first job in real leadership, where I was actually leading people, I was very young. I was in my 20s. I had a lot of strikes against me. Most of my team was older than me, more experienced than me, and it was in another country, Arkansas. So, but by the way, I love Arkansas.
Do you do part-time comedy? I think like
no, it was the best board I ever worked with. I love them. I love that team down there. But I didn't know. I mean, I got called a Yankee. I didn't know we were still fighting. I mean, it was something. So I wasn't getting what I wanted from my team. Finally, I got absolutely clear about something I later came to call ODC, not OCD, ODC. I said, I've got to get, instead of micromanaging, instead of telling people how to do stuff, they're older, they know more. What is the outcome we want? Get crystal clear about the outcome. That's the expectation. That looks like this. And leaders will say to me, but I don't know perfectly. Fine. Get as clear as you can get, because you can almost always get clearer than you are. So what's the outcome? It looks like this. D stands for deadline. I wasn't giving a deadline because I was afraid it would create conflict. And I learned if you don't give a deadline, you'll ensure conflict. Soon means different things to different people. And C stands for clarifiers. Just a moment on, are you clear about this? Am I clear? Just spit it back to me so we see if we're on the same page. Clarifiers. That's ODC. And just so you know, the cool thing about this trust work that's so fun is I've had people say it tripled their sales, and I've had people say it saved their marriage. It works at home too. So here's an example of home. So my daughters and I had a different perspective on what a clean room looks like. So my wife and I, you know, I've got 4 kids, but the girls, especially in those days, the girls lived in one room, were in one room, the boys in the other room, you know, and so finally I said, I don't want to be domineering over the top dad. Let's just make it 2 things. Okay. They're like maybe 5 and 7 years old. Just 2 things. Let's give a clear outcome. Okay. So let's have it be no clothes on the floor. Do you know what clothes are? Yeah, we know what clothes are, Dad. Do you know where the floor is? It's under there. Just dig a little bit. Yeah, we found it. Okay, great. So we know that one. Now, number 2 is let's have it be the bedspread or the comforter hold up over the pillow. Okay. Now, I don't know what's going on underneath. It's fine. Just the top one. Just do that. Got it? That means it's okay that the plastic necklaces are hanging on the dresser. It's okay, whatever the heck's going on in the closet. I don't know what's under the bed, but no clothes on the floor. Bedspread up, right? Boom. Clear. Saturday morning, they come down. Hey, can we go play with our friends? Yes, it's a free Saturday, no problem. But is your room clean? And you know, a 5 and 7-year-old, when it was clear enough for them, could self-identify, go up, see, check themselves. Your people often want to win. They actually even want to buy from you. You get one conversation with a mortgage person, they want to go with you. They don't want to go somewhere else. That's stress. That's time. They don't want to check out 5 people. They just want to find one they trust.
So
Okay.
I know a tool. I know a tool that works in our world. It's called the total cost analysis, Dave and Deborah. And I think that everyone here knows it, right? I'm preaching to the choir in this group, but you're giving clarity to your client. You're giving them transparency, and you're building trust, because you don't know what their expectations are ahead of time, whether they saw an interest rate of 5.99 with $27,000 worth of fees, or whether they're super experienced and they want, you know, a higher rate with a credit. And so the TCA is your opportunity to show them in clear with data what it is that they have available from you. So you're eliminating the ambiguity he's talking about. And so when you set the expectations that you're going to educate them on that, I think you're building trust.
When you have the confidence and the willingness to just say what is and never hide anything and just say, here's what it is. Here's what it is. They'll trust you and go with you. Not
I
hiding.
think the challenge,
yeah.
I think the challenge can be when the motive is to sell, because, you know, people need to make a living. They need to earn a commission. So
great. I love it, Deborah. So this is what I would do. Hey, here's the thing. I want to sell to you. That's why I'm here. Like, this is why I do what I do. It's to provide for my family and everything. I want to sell just like everybody else that you're going to meet today, getting a mortgage or real estate wants to sell. So that you know that ahead of time. So the difference is I'm going to give you this, this, and this. Here's how I'm going to do it. So if this is the way you like to work, I hope you'll go with me. If it's not, no problem. Tell them. That's being super clear. Do it right away. That's the thing you're worried. So don't hide. What I'm saying is, you want to sell more, don't hide anything. Just say that too. Say, you know what? You know, I want to sell. I mean, you know what I mean? Like that example is
like that.
The challenge is I want to sell. You're right. You're right. And you know what I know? Every time I go buy a car or anything, I know they want to sell to me. So I want to sell. I want to buy. You know what the truth is? I want to buy. I want a mortgage. I want this home. So that's good. We're on the same page there. Just tell me that. Don't tell me, oh, I don't really need to do this. You're kind of not really whatever. You'll only do it if this. You're full of it. Just, you want to sell. I want to buy. How are you going to do it?
Hey, we're not going to do this on all 8 pillars because we got 7 more, but I do want to unpack one more level deeper on clarity because I want to make sure.
Spend the most time on clarity because they can have results in tomorrow with clarity.
Yeah, no. And I want you guys to start thinking about things like Uber. Why are some of the reasons Uber was so successful? Clarity. Like, you can see where the car is and how close it is to picking you up. You can see whether they're taking the optimal route. So there's a word that's used often in this world today, transparency. By the way, transparency is a tool of clarity. And you know, Todd called out the MortgageCoach total cost analysis. Like, if you're not giving a consumer options, like if you just say, hey, here's your rate, here's your payment, here's your cash to close, that is not as much transparency as if you're like, hey, here's an option with points, here's an option with no points. You know, I know you hear from all these online lenders about these super low rates with 2 points. Like, if you show 3 options, it's an uncommon level of transparency. And then the other thing that people don't do is most loan officers are only showing, hey, what is the cost to get the transaction? You know what consumers really want to know? Hey, what's that going to cost me over the 3 years or the 5 years that I'm going to live in the home? Like, from a legislation perspective, we use APR, which is the total cost. The problem with that is no one has their loan for 30 years. So it's almost like fake transparency. So I just want to make sure you guys are getting this from a tactical perspective at the job that you have of helping people with their home financing. If you start going beyond what is transactionally required, which most loan officers don't do, they just, here's your rate, here's your payment, here's your cash to close, and here's your APR that means really nothing. But if you show options, you show the cost based off of that consumer, like how long do you think you'll be in the home? If you just do these 3 or 4 tactical things, here's what's happened. It triggers trust. And another really important part of trust, you know, is its ethos. Like, can I trust this person? Do they have my best interest in mind? And is this person authoritative and expert at what they do? Because if they think that, like, wow, this person's an expert and they trust you, you convert, you win. So anyways, I went a little down a rabbit trail there, David.
Well, let me respond to that. 2 things. Number 1, your gut's almost always right. It takes in so many little trust cues. It's pretty interesting, but not always. Number 2, just to give life to this work, because it is complex work, and that is, this trust work is trust. You know, in one way, in this space, the way you're talking about, transparency builds trust. 92% of people would trust their senior leader more if they're more transparent about their mistakes. But to just give a little life to the complexity of trust, transparency isn't always trusted. So your kids might be so transparent on social media, I don't trust them for a second. Like, confidentiality is also trusted. So it's complete. Like on quarterly earnings reports, we have to be confidential about some things. On HR reports, we have to be confidential about some things. So it's knowing when and how. And I love the report Todd talked about. Being transparent there would make me trust you so much if I ever had a mortgage again. Like, if, you know, this kind of thing, like that's a space where transparency builds trust. So it can be complex. So to be transparent, if like for me, it's also, when is it fair to ask for things? Going back to Deborah, what you said, like, I want to buy, you want to sell, right? Or whatever it is. When I'm on stage for a client that paid me, I never sell from stage unless they ask me to. But for you, we talked about this ahead of time. I'm on here voluntarily for free. So I'm going to show what I think will help your people a lot. This has the 40 tools in it that could help them. So if they want it, we have a thing here that's true. We don't do the make money on books, but if they want help to go for it, or they want to get Trust Edge certified, that would really help your people a lot. So there's my quick pitch is, why am I here? I believe this work, and I want everybody to have it. I want you to get Trust Edge certified, those listening today. I want you to get this Trust Matters book, and I want to spend the next 27 minutes giving you everybody the value I can for free.
Let's go. Who's up for 27 minutes of pure value unpacking these? Who is going to buy that book? Like literally, I'm going to go buy that book right now. And you, by the way, you do have permission to multitask and buy Trust Matters more than ever. That is the one multitasking thing that everybody can do right now. The link will be in chat in a minute. We'll have it in Facebook. And for all of you that are watching this on YouTube, down below in the show notes, there'll be a link, the housing.link, and all the links that we talk about will be in that one link. So anything that we've talked about, and there's a link, it's all going to be in that one super link from housing.link. Let's go, brother.
All right. Well, I was just going to do this trust for free stuff. I'll put it in here too right now. Just because they can get, instead of having to get anything, if they really can't afford it, I want everybody to have the value.
Well, I already had your book, but I just bought another book because I'm going to give it to my son.
So the next pillar, so clarity is a pillar. There's so many more tools under there, but let's go. Number 2 is compassion. We trust those that care beyond ourselves. What we found is you have a big word that came out of this research funnel was intent. If your intent is all about yourself, I can have the intent that I need to sell something because I care about my family. People get that. But if all my intent is narcissistic, it's all for myself. If everything is about me, that doesn't, I will not follow someone or be accountable to someone if they don't care beyond themselves, have intent beyond themselves. So, think about this. This is kind of fun for people. What do you think? Who do you think the most trusted person in the world is to most people? Oprah, Denzel. Who's the most trusted person in the world to the most people? Dalai Lama, Oprah, whatever. Of course, according to the research, the most trusted person in the world to the most people globally in our plus or minus 1% margin of error study is mom. We could all learn something from mom. Yo, Jesus there. Yeah, these are all good. So, but for everybody, according to the study, it was mom. And mom has this ability. There's great dads on listening, I'm sure.
I was going to say, where do dads rank?
Yeah, unfortunately, they're not up there as high as we hope. But for some, of course, it's all their experience with their dad. But mom is sacrificial. She'll stay up late. She'll put salve in that ugly wound. And we need to learn something from mom. So under that one, lots of tools. We talk about listening, appreciating others, waking up and being present. Massive differentiator today. If you can be present, never have a computer up between you and your client. Never have your phone up at a meeting. There's a whole lot of psychology to how do we be present with someone and how people feel loved or cared about in that. So that's a compassion one. We can talk more about it, but the second pillar is compassion. The third pillar is character. We trust those that do what's right over what's easy. And we knew character would be important. The question, I have 3 of them that I ask under this one, and we have a 7-step process for how you build companies or teams on character. But I would just ask this question today. This would be a good one to think about personally today. And that is, would you follow you? You want everybody else to follow you? Would you buy from you? I mean, this is when I was asked to be the opening keynote of the biggest one-day leadership event in our country. I'm sure I was the least known of the 10 speakers. They were big-time speakers. I opened the day, and I was honored to be there and grateful to be there. And I thought, I'm going to meet some people that I've looked up to. I've read their books. And these are big names. And I was excited to meet this one that I hadn't met in person in the green room. And we met in the green room. And I'm telling you, in moments, I could see he's a whole lot different off stage than he is on stage. And he's loved by people that far from him, but I bet his family and those closest to him don't think much of him. And this question matters, to get up every day and say, would you follow you? That's the character. There's a lot more. Like I said, there's a lot more to all these. But number 4 is competency. We trust based on competency. I trust Deborah to take my kids to the ball game. That does not, she's got character. She's got kindness, compassion. That doesn't mean I will trust Deborah to give me a root canal because of competency, as far as I know, right? So you've got to stay fresh and relevant and capable. If you're in the mortgage or real estate business, you've got to be competent, fresh, relevant, capable in 3 ways. 1, as a human, people development matters. 3 to 1, you got to be pouring into yourself. Number 2, on the newest information about mortgages, about real estate, about the industry knowledge, be an expert. And number 3, if you're leading a team, you have to pour into yourself leadership wise. And it's interesting that you can tell people are staying fresh and relevant and capable there. This is the pillar we talk a lot about, how input equals output. In business, we say input equals output, right? But every science says this. First law of thermodynamics. The great German physicist found the energy you put in is exactly the same as the energy you get out. In farming or theology, you reap what you sow. In psychology, thoughts that go in lead to desires, which lead to actions. You didn't just get caught in adultery. You start thinking about it. Then it became a desire. Then it became acted on. It always starts over here. Physiologically, if I eat a bad bowl of chili, input equals output, right? Input always equals output. And that's the same with your team. That's the same with your business. I can go into a company, do an enterprise trust index, look at the input, and I can guarantee the output. I can go to talk to a salesperson in the real estate business, ask him just a few questions, and I can guarantee how much they're selling almost. Same with mortgages, anything else. Input equals output. So we check the input, and there's lots of inputs that your industry is big on input in conferences, in getting coached, which is critical. We all know that, in reading, but it is fascinating. Here's one little tidbit. The average number of garbage, junk, Netflix, whatever, that people watch today annually is almost 2,000 hours. The average number of books an American reads, not annually, but after their high school degree, or after their furthest degree, whether that was high school or PhD. Average number of books. You would agree, books will give you better input generally, right? If you're reading good books. And these are books over 150 pages, so Goodnight Moon does not count, parents. So average number of books an American reads is 1 in their lifetime, which means most people are reading 0 because you're reading 100, right? And the problem is people are not taking control of their input and putting good things in their head, their heart, their mind. And I'm telling you, I can give you people and companies that are winning. My first book shows the study of how the more books you read, the more money you make in life. There's a massive study on it, and the more positive you have impact on others. So anyway, as you can imagine.
Does that stat include audiobooks?
I think so nowadays. Okay. Yep. Book's a book.
Wow.
So, okay, so there's a lot there for learning. I can give you companies that are killing it because they're learning. One of the fastest ways to lower attrition is to increase your training of people. They feel cared about through training and development. If you give them good training and development, good coaching, they stay longer. What were you going to say, Todd?
I was just going to ask you, you said you could ask a real estate agent or a loan officer some questions and you would determine pretty quick, how much business they did. Like, can you give an example or two of a question that you might ask a real estate agent when we meet him?
Yep. I would ask them, what do you spend your time doing every day? What are the top 3 things you do every day? I can almost tell everything from that. Mm-hmm. I could give you a lot more, but that'd be one thing.
Love it. Love it. Yeah. Hopefully it's not watch Netflix 2,000 hours a year.
Goodness. Well, we become like the people around. So that's competency. Next pillar, keep whipping through them. You can ask questions or interrupt anytime. Please feel free. I'm just, Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Dave's on
You're
mute. It's so
muted, though.
unusual for Dave to be a rookie.
Oh, wow. That's not like me to not unmute, but I was going to let it keep going, but I do want to anchor a few things because guys, you're here in this mortgage coach community to go from I'm a loan officer to I'm a modern mortgage advisor. I mean, that is the future belongs. Like if you want to rocket proof, future proof your career, you're really going to become great at this because like here's the reality. In order to thrive going forward in the mortgage space, you need to do what Rocket cannot do. And by the way, you also need to do what they can do. So you need to have great tech, you need to have great automation, but you need to be a great human being at building trust. And so to become an absolute black belt at everything he's sharing, it's so important to your future as because most of you on here, you're local referral based mortgage professionals, and your biggest referral partner is local referral based realtors. And big tech and centralized platforms are coming. So I just want to make sure, guys, like this is like what you're learning right now. It is the science and the art of connecting, of winning in sales. And I know David's going to say it's all about trust. And by the way, and I agree with him, but I just want to connect like competency and tie this back to mortgage coach. When you show people options, which is uncommon levels of transparency, and then you show them strategies like, hey, you could take this loan and this loan, prepay your mortgage. Now you're showing an uncommon level of competency, expertise. So like I could, David, you and I could, and I know Todd too, because Todd's one of America's top mortgage coaches. Deborah is the #1 social media leader for some of the top mortgage coaches in the country. Like we could literally unpack this and pretty much everything that we teach, we preach, we talk about, and we could just tie it back to these principles of trust. So, anyways, I just wanted to connect that dot because I thought it was timely. Todd had something to say, and then we'll get back into unpacking. I think
Well,
we
David just put in there the email address for people that want to get more information on getting Trust Edge certified. Could you just give the quick, what is getting Trust Edge certified mean?
That stands for Dan Kerrigan. He's my chief of staff and COO. I'm just putting you right to the top and saying for Dave's group here, for your group here, just set a call right with him, and he'll give you a demo and stuff. So Trust Edge certified means there's 4 big areas. One, you learn the content, the trust content to use. Like you learn you go through all the courses, the 8 pillars, how to use it, how to apply it. Number 2, you actually learn how to teach it if you'd like. I mean, people build businesses on being Trust Edge certified. So if you get certified, you get you can teach it to teams. You can sell training days, and we don't take anything. It's not even like a franchise. Once you're Trust Edge certified, we really have this open hand of how you can use it. So you can do retreats, you can do Trust Edge sales days, or Trust Edge team meetings, or use it all, teach it. You have access to a portal or a platform that has loads of content we've used for years, whether it's MIT or Penn State using, or we have there's a doctorate program in a university that people get Trust Edge certified once they go through that program. So you get access to all this stuff, simple and usable. You get access to the video library. You get also access to assessments. 3 of the assessments are free to you can charge for them if you get Trust Edge certified, but you can use them for free. So you're not inhibited like, oh, I got to pay every time or whatever. So that may change someday, but the self-assessment and the team assessment. So if you want to use this we see people using it in real estate teams or mortgage teams, and then like, let's do it again in 90 days and make sure we close the gap of the 8 pillars. And the 4th way is you get to be a part of the community, so the monthly calls and all that with Trust Edge folks. And you guys have an amazing community. So I don't really want to take anything away. And once again, I want to be clear. If this is a gift to people that are interested in it, and it would be an added value to who you are and what you're doing right now, then I want you to be a part of it. But there's nothing else. We don't need it. We don't want it, except for those that are interested. We know you can do a better job of carrying the torch for trust in your domain with your people than I can or someone on our team can. So if it's a value, there it is. We love it when people join better a fit and either you want to just know it, you want to teach it, you want to assess it, or you want to be a part of a community that is using it.
Awesome.
Love it. And guys in this community would love to keep track of the community within the community of who leans in. I can't believe, David, it's been, like you've been introduced by Phil. It took us months to get the calendar working. I wish I could have brought you in even sooner because what you are teaching is super valuable. So guys, and I know a lot of you are gonna lean in, you're gonna learn, bring it back. And I'm sure we'll get Dave back in here. But let's not run out of time before we unpack all these pillars. Let's unpack it,
Yeah.
and then we'll
Okay.
do some closing questions at the end.
Sure. So the next one was commitment. We trust those that stay committed in the face of adversity. You think about this, like, I'm not saying people didn't need mental health help or any other things during big challenges, but during a pandemic or a big mortgage meltdown, we trusted those that stuck with us, didn't jump from the industry, didn't leave us hanging, right? They stuck with us when it was tough. That's the same. I mean, that's what the data shows. We trust those that will stick with us in adversity and stay committed. The next pillar is connection. Really, connection. 2 C words really came out big in this pillar as far as the research, and that was collaboration, connecting and collaborating with others. We trust those that are willing to connect and collaborate. And we have in the book, I show the counterforces of trust. So a counterforce to connection would be siloing or selfishness or some other things. So there's a lot of ways. There's some that we can connect and collaborate with others. By the way, here's a top tip right here for your folks. Another quick one. Repelling traits in people. There are many, right? Repelling traits, arrogance and selfishness and gossip, magnetic traits. What do you think? What do you think is the most magnetic trait in individuals in first interaction? Most magnetic.
Energy,
Energy,
confidence.
Smile. What else? Todd, what say you?
Oh, I was just going to let the smarter people say something.
Well, all of you are
Come
smart.
on,
And the
put yourself out there.
I think it's being interested, right? Asking a question about
Boom.
themselves.
Todd won.
All of these are good. Okay. So, and by the way, these are, smile is good. All, empathy, all these are good. According to this one study, number one, almost no one ever gets it. I ask audiences around the world. And genuineness is high. A genuine smile. We know people that smile too much and you wonder about them, but a genuine smile, which Deborah meant, is good. And genuine interest, all these things are good. True humility. But according to this study, number one was gratitude. We love to be around people that are grateful. And by the way, if you build this into your life or your family or your team, almost all the negative traits go away. Grateful people don't tend to be entitled. They don't tend to be complainers. They don't tend to be pessimistic. All these grateful people. But you know what happens? Some salespeople and real estate agents I talk to, well, I don't want to look too grateful then I look needy. I'm not saying be weird. Thank you. I'm saying just genuine. Thanks for taking the meeting. Thanks for looking at my work. Thank people. Be grateful. I can tell stories of what's happened to our company because we were so grateful. I was really just true that we were grateful. When I used to have a podcast, did 110 episodes, and then I travel every week, and I hated you'd have an admiral or a 4-star general. I'm like, I can't reschedule. So we stopped doing it, even though I really enjoyed it. But I had this billionaire on, and like everybody we had on the podcast, just like everywhere I speak, we send a nice gift and a thank you. And I didn't know that nobody sent gifts for having podcasts. I'm taking their time. It's a gift. Like, I didn't know that. This guy, he's sold more books than anybody else in the world in his space. And he called me. And he called. I happened to be in. He said, "Is that who I?" Oh yeah. And so I took the call. And he said, "Is this David Horsager?" I said, "Yes." He said, "The truth is, I do 350 podcasts a year. I don't even remember being on yours. I don't remember, except I have never been thanked and given a gift like that." And I'm telling you, it wasn't that big. It was special, but it was like a $35 gift. It wasn't like a $400 gift, So he said, "I just never been thanked. I've never been thanked. I couldn't believe it. I looked up your stuff. You're really good on stage. I looked up this. I looked up this about you." He spent all this time because we gave him this little gift. You know what he started doing? He started recommending me at some of the biggest events in the world. Like every month, For months, he would recommend, be on this podcast, be on that. It was a game changer. We didn't even know. We were just thanking someone. Gratitude, just if you can do it like from your heart, genuinely, gratitude means a ton. And anyway, so that it was also a game changer business-wise, but whatever, that was way back. Okay, so what's the next one? Where are we at here? Connection. Okay, the next one. Here we go. We got to get through them, don't we? Next one is contribution. This is really important to say verbally because the number one word that came out of this funnel was results. We trust those that contribute results. You've got to think of this one in terms of results. So you can't just have compassion, just have character. You actually have to deliver the results you expected or asked for, like we're asked of. So if I'm buying seed for my corn, that corn's got to grow. If I'm buying, getting a mortgage, that's got to close. Or if I'm, going for surgery, let's say it's amputation, surgeon was really compassionate, but they cut off the wrong leg. We got a problem, right? You got to get the result that I'm asking for. And so results are trusted. Finally, oh man, I want to go deeper on all these. I know it's hard. I love this stuff, but, the final one is the queen and king of the pillars, and it is consistency. You will be trusted for whatever you do consistently. If you are late consistently, I will absolutely trust you to be late. You can be trusted for good or bad. You may not like McDonald's. I might not, let's say, but I've had the same exact burger on 6 continents. Sameness. The only way to build a reputation in the real estate or mortgage industry is consistency. The only way to build a brand as a company is consistency. I need to know you're going to show up the same way every time. You're going to be prepared every time. You're going to show up. That's what will make you trusted. Good or bad, I will trust you. You swear every time I talk to you, I'll trust you're going to do that again. You're kind to people when I talk to you, I'll trust you're going to do that again. Consistency is what trust is. I mean, it's the foundation of all of them. But anyway, all 8 of these, I think it's worth this because I know we only have a couple minutes left. If you can just, in our short time together, I know we didn't give all the tools or anything, but this framework on its own, take these 8 C's, put them in your vehicle, put them by your computer. If I never talk to you again, don't buy anything, fine. Take the 8 and just take and go to these 8 instead of the problem you think you're having. Because you say, we got an engagement problem. At the core, you don't get engagement with engagement. When you solve for one of these, you get more engagement. When you solve for one of these, you get a higher net promoter score. You don't get, referrals with referrals. You want more referrals? Increase one of these, you'll get more referrals. Communication, like I said, it's not communication. It's clear is trusted, unclear isn't. Compassionate is trusted, hateful isn't. High character is trusted, dishonest isn't. Competent is trusted, incompetent isn't. You go one more level down, we see people actually solve the problem they wanted to solve when they get to these 8. You can do it, by the way, with a marketing message. Hey, is this message clear? Is it compassionate to our people? Is it show connection? Just you don't even have to use all of our assessments. You say, is this message here, does it 1 out of 10? Does it show connection with our people? Does it show our results contribute? Does it show that we get results? This one message, all of a sudden I can do a 1 out of 10 and say, oh, that message is trusted.
So Todd, be ready to do the win by noon close. I want to share a thought, Deb, give you a thought, and then let Todd close it out. So guys, I am going to be studying this over the next couple of days. Like, this is a really important conversation, a lot to unpack, a lot to journal on. I think a lot of you know, because you follow this community, I'm currently working on a book about my code. It's called Know Your Code, Live Your Code, Share Your Code. I just shared a link to not the book, but my code that I've shared before on this call. But, to me, like, I was going to close it around consistency because, of the hundreds of top producing loan officers, there's a lot of ways to win in this business, but they have great systems, they have great processes, and they deliver them consistently. So I had planned on really focusing on that. But the last one that you said about gratitude, knowing that we're going into a holiday, this is something that I worked on over the weekend as I was, part of my code, better versus bitter, always better, never bitter. And to live a life of always better, never bitter, there's a lot to it. There's a code that you need to have. You talked about gratitude. And again, we could spend an hour on how to be a person of gratitude. But it's true. Like, if you are a person of gratitude, you're going to love yourself more. people are going to love you more. You're going to build trust more. So I want everybody to think about this one quote: always better, never bitter. We're going into a holiday that celebrates military, and not just military, people that have sacrificed their life for our country. So let's not forget what Memorial Day is and what Monday really means. And then let's take this conversation. I'm going to push y'all, study it, re-listen to it. If you've got chat bots, have a conversation with your AI, whatever social media you use. But this is an important call. I hope you do a lot with it. Deborah, give us a minute, and then let's go to Todd to wrap it up.
The first thing that came to my mind is when you asked us, would you follow yourself and would you buy from you? And so I started to think about the first place to start when I think of trust is how are you integrating, which the Win by Noon planner helps with this tremendously, guys, is how do you grow your own self-trust? Because if you don't trust yourself, it's going to be hard for anyone else to trust you. So then I started to look at your 8 pillars of how compassionate are you to yourself? How grateful are you to yourself? What are the commitments to yourself that you honor and keep even when it's difficult? How do you connect with yourself? How competent are you in what you truly value and what your goals are versus taking what someone else says and projecting it, making them yours. So not to make it selfish, but I was thinking about self-trust and starting there before you try to get others to trust you or your team or a client. How well do you trust you?
Wow, that one's hard to top, Deborah. Like that was excellent.
That's what I'm here for.
I'm fascinated by this, right? I think there's so many of you in our community that are a bit like me, and you live this every day, right? I look at competency, someone who's always self-learning, right? You're watching this either here live with us or you're watching the video, right? You're probably like me, you bought the book already. So Dave gave me permission to multitask, so I did, and it'll be here on Monday. And I'm very excited to dig in and study what we learned. I believe this is what our community is about, right? We are now called the Trust Engine Mastermind community, right? Trust is in the name of what we all do. And the bottom line is that he just gave us a great framework that you can actually work through all you do, right? As Deborah said, would you buy from yourself, right? To me, this is the social media filter from the social media queen at Plug and Play. And so we have this opportunity now to spend a little bit of time this week. And I would just encourage you to put it in your calendar, right? What gets scheduled gets done, and spend some time going through these and figuring out where do you have room for improvement? How can you show up differently? It made me think about, I was recently at a mastermind event of entrepreneurs, 35 entrepreneurs here in Los Angeles. And I would tell people I was in the mortgage business and they were like, yeah, next, not interested. And then I'd say, hey, you know what? I'm the co-founder of First Home IQ. We're a nonprofit that teaches financial literacies in high school. And I became a lot more interesting in that room. And so I just think about really how can you reframe yourself using this in order to be a little more well-respected online and build that trust with your clients. All we want for you is to be consistent with your business. You're here, you are a survivor, right? He gave us that one that we needed people who still made it through commitment through the last couple of years. So congrats on that. David, it was fabulous to have you in our community. We're super grateful. As always, make the most of your weekend, everyone. Take a little bit of action today, and let's crush the rest of 25. Yes, Mr. Savage.
And if you have not already subscribed to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you follow David on all his social media. I'm actually getting the book tomorrow, so I don't know, Todd. Maybe where I live, I've got a better.
I saved 1%, and I had it in the environment. Yeah. I had to deliver it on my Prime Day.
I got it. So David put, remember, guys, if you watch this in YouTube, there'll be one link. It'll have the email to David's team member to make sure you learn about that platform. So trust me, I built my career on trust. I mean, we came up with the name of Trust Engine as the founder of MortgageCoach, when we sold the company and we bought Sales Boomerang, and we're like, what do we want to do? We want to build a trust engine. We want to build technology that brings transparency, speed to need, speed to clarity. So David, you and I have a lot more to talk about. I want to introduce you to Kristen and have you learn about First Home IQ. Everything we do is very symbiotic. If everybody watched this, if you have not followed savageinsights.com, that's where I put whoever's next is at the top. Right now it's David. Tomorrow it will, within an hour, We'll change it to who we're interviewing on Tuesday. So make sure you're going to savageinsights.com. Also, the Savage Insiders Club is a mobile club. We'll have the number down below, but make sure you get into that mobile club so that a couple times a week you'll get a text from me, and it's all about turning loan officers into data-driven modern mortgage advisors that have future-proofed their business. So have an incredible 3-day weekend. Remember what Monday is all about. And
Do you want to give David any last words, Mr. Savage, before we take off? He looks like he's
yeah,
ready to do
David,
one last thing. I don't want
anything else you want to say before you roll?
Nothing other than thank you. I actually did. I'm just listening and enjoying, and thank you so much. I mean, if I was going to have a quote here, I love that my dad is 95 years old and he is a vet from Korea. There's not many left. He's almost 96. Mom and dad still run the farm. And if you read the first book, Trust Edge, you'll read a story about the character of him that's unbelievable, or you see me on stage sometime. But I guess maybe I would say it is the little things done consistently that make the biggest difference, not the big things. That would mean something for your industry, and it turns out it does for everybody.
Mic
Love
drop.
it. Love
All
it.
right, guys. Love all the hearts. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank
Take
you.
care.